Amanda with StraightSmile Solutions, StraightSmileSolutions.com, and today we're going to talk, well, I'm using a Specialty Appliances lab slip here, only because their lab slips are super easy to use, and they have them obviously on their website. It's one of the labs I definitely, for Ortho labs, refer to. I recommend them. I've actually taken a tour of their facility. I've met their CEO and their VP. Super nice facility in northern Georgia. Incidentally, it's about a couple miles from where my family's from, so easy. But in any case, yeah, so I'm just going to kind of take you through what parts of their lab slip that I use and that I like, just so you can understand it, because a lot of you are asking for help with your lab slips for appliances or retainers or things like that. You can take the same information. Any ortho lab can make any of this stuff. So as you educate, if this isn't the lab you like, if you want to use a different one, there's tons of ortho labs, ma and pa ones, big ones. I also like Ollendorf. I like Great Lakes. If you want a small ma and pa lab that does great work and has amazing prices, there's one called The Orthodontic Lab. Not a fancy website, super small bread and butter lab in Arizona, but I have also taken a tour of that lab. I also know the owners, and it's probably the prices are maybe half. They may not have absolutely everything that you have here, but their lab tech is super great, and I'm pretty sure they could probably make it. So that's a great lab to consider as well. And I think if you mention StraightSmile Solutions, you get a 10% discount, or at least you used to. So check that out. Okay, so let's take you through specialty appliances. Things you need to know on this functionals lab slip. Now, you're not possibly going to know what all these modifications are, and you shouldn't. These are really meant for orthodontists, and us as orthodontists, we get really picky with how we like things. This is just not something you need to know. So I'm going to show you what things I think a general or pediatric dentist can use. You know, what you guys need to know. I mean, obviously, always better to take a scan than an impression if you can. I like that they accept all kinds of scans. That's great. In terms of functional appliances, remember, anything that you want to know more about, I'm not going to go too into the weeds, but if you go into my YouTube channel, StraightSmile Solutions, so go to your YouTube, type StraightSmile Solutions at the top in the search bar, it brings up my YouTube channel. Then once you're in there, there's a tiny little magnifying glass, top right, not corner, but just top right, third, and when you see that tiny magnifying glass, you put in the keyword. So if you want to know more about a Bionator, a Twinblock, a Sagittal, a Hawley, a Clasps, any of these things, I actually have individual videos on all this, so you can learn more. Okay, so functionals. Remember, functionals are meant for functional appliances. They're removable appliances, usually, that help to fix the bite. They can grow jaws, they can grow lower jaws, they can hook to it so that you can stimulate the growth of the upper jaw. You can expand a jaw wider. So many different things you can do with a functional. So these are class 2 functionals. So these are functionals that are meant to grow a lower jaw, similar but different than Invisalign MA with mandibular advancement, which is a feature you can now get on Invisalign. So a lot of you are familiar with MA. So remember, MA was created basically from functionals that we've been using in ortho for decades. So it's just a new version of it, a much more expensive version. You can get these for $200 to $300. That's what I think specialty charges around $300. I'll bet you if you went with the orthodontic lab, it's cheaper, but you can ask them. Bionators are a one-piece appliance, so can't really talk with the main, but they really work. So they're basically, they advance the mandible, they put it on articulator, they create it. They can have varieties to help open a deep bite or to close an open bite, but it doesn't have a screw to widen the jaw or to align. So that's a Bionator. So Bionator is good for a patient that maybe has some vertical issues, deep bites or open bites, but also needs to grow a jaw. So sure, you can pay for Invisalign with MA, Invisalign First at $1,300, or Invisalign with MA Comprehensive for $1,800, almost $1,900, or you can get a Bionator for $200 or $300. So big price difference if you're just not needing to align, you only want to work on vertical or grow a jaw or both. So that's what a Bionator is for. I don't even know what a corrector is. I could look it up, but it's probably another version. Twinblocks I also use. The Clark is the original version. Twinblocks came off in the early 80s. They basically look like retainers that have the little acrylic wing, very similar to how the Invisalign with MA works. Same concept. It's just not 3D printed and thermoformed. It's made of acrylic. So it's going to look like a retainer. in the patient's mouth, you know? There's an upper and a lower and wings, and it sets the jaw forward. So it's easy to talk. That's the benefit. So same outcome as the Bionator. This one could be modified to add expanders, which a Bionator can't. If you want the McNamara type, if you want the traditional type, you go ask for Clark. You can ask for them to make some appliance design modifications to help open a bite if you have a deep bite, or close the bite if you have an open bite, or maintain the bite. So if you need modifications, you need to mark that for vertical. Otherwise, you're just going to get standard. And remember, if you need an expander, you need to mark McNamara. Okay, so that is functionals for class 2 and vertical issues. Here, what else would you probably use here? I don't know why they're calling this active designs. That's weird. Sagittals are meant to move a teeth or a few teeth to upright molars, to distalize molars, or to push a premaxilla forward. So if you had like an anterior crossbite that was dental and not skeletal in nature, that's what a sagittal is for. So very affordable. Again, they look like a retainer. You could also marry them with a Schwartz if you wanted to expand. So you can have a sagittal Schwartz. This is the premaxilla sagittal to help fix a dental crossbite, not dental anterior crossbite, not a skeletal anterior crossbite. A three-way sagittal is usually a combination of distalizing and advancing the premaxilla, and also transverse. So we're moving in all different directions. That's pretty much all you need to know there. If you decide you want expanders, these are just different types of screws. Do you want a midline screw? Do you want 2 midline screws? Do you want 2 sagittal screws? That's just basically more screws. Remember, the more modifications you ask for, the more you're going to be paying. So same thing if you pick a special color on the acrylic, you can ask for the color chart. Decals, designs, you're going to pay more. As far as this clasps, I usually don't pick clasps unless there's some specific reason. Like if a patient brings me a Hawley and it's like, I want this Hawley to be remade, I want an extra one, I want it to be exactly like my old one, well then yeah. We have 2 ball clasps here and we have a C clasp here, and then otherwise I just tell them to pick the clasp, whatever best cap clasps are for that tooth. Only other thing you probably need to know here is acrylic design. Occlusal coverage, you put acrylic on the occlusal if you want to close, intrude back teeth to close a bite. An anterior bite plane is used to open a deep bite. It's like anterior. I have tons of videos on that if you want to look on that. If you want acrylic on your labial bow that keeps the bow from bending, that's kind of nice. Otherwise, that's pretty much all you need to know on this functional slip. So lots of information here. All right. Hopefully that was helpful. Thanks.